Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks Saturday, May 2nd, 2015. This is episode 1183. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you monitor, control, and automate your home from wherever you are using your smartphone. Right now, SmartThings is offering the Tech Guy listeners 10% off any home security or solution kit and get free shipping in the U.S. when you go to smartthings.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT at checkout. And by ProFlowers. Mother's Day is May 10th, and ProFlowers has you covered. Get 1 dozen rainbow roses in a free glass vase for just $19.99 plus shipping. Visit proflowers.com, click the microphone in the top right corner, and enter the code TWIT. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can also use Skype to reach us outside those territories. Let us know what you think, what you need, what you want. You know, software woes strike everything's on software. Everything runs software now. In fact, that's kind of the mantra of the everybody should learn how to program movement, program computers movement, is that, well, everything runs in software, so if you want to be empowered in this technological era, you better know how software works. I'm not against that. I don't think everybody needs to be a programmer, but I can understand the philosophy. Kind of came home this week when the folks at Boeing announced that their Dreamliner, the 787, had to be rebooted every 248 days. Or it would catastrophically fall from the skies. I shouldn't be laughing. I don't believe anybody has been hurt by this. But there's a code, of course, all through these planes. They're just flying computers. Everything is a computer. Even my wristwatch is a computer. The code that runs the Dreamliner's electrical system had a fairly common computer flaw in it. It's called an integer overflow bug. See, numbers in computers are represented by a certain number of bits. Typically, it's enough to represent a number with 32 bits. That gives you 2 billion possibilities. So I guess the engineer at Boeing thought, we'll never need more than that, and used a 32-bit number, 32-bit integer, in the electrical system. Well, it turns out, if you're counting hundredths of a second, there are more than 2.1 billion hundredths of a second in 248 days. So after the plane runs for 248 days, the integer, instead of going to 2,171,183,000, to the next number, 184,000 or whatever it is, it goes to 0. This goes, well, I'm full. I'm done. I've had enough. Let's go to 0 and start over. And when it does, the electrical system turns off in the plane. Just says, yeah, we're done. We're home. Except if the plane's in the sky, it means it literally cannot fly. The controls stop working, the radar, everything stops working, and, well, it's a disaster. So this software bug, Boeing has a quick fix, and they're telling everybody, just reboot the plane every 248 days. So so you don't hit this limit, and then they're going to put out some new software. Holy moly. Holy moly. That is amazing. The good news is I think they discovered this before anything bad happened. But 248 days is 2 to the 31st hundredths of a second. So if you understand computer programming, you'll understand why that's a bad thing, and why that 248 days is kind of a magic number in computing. That's why I think it's good to learn code. Or if you're going to, I guess it's good if you're going to write code to learn code. FAA, in a related story, has completed its updating of the nation's flight systems. This has been going on for years. It's a very, very elaborate system, the air traffic control system. And it was pretty old. I think that some of the computers were still running on tubes. I don't believe I'm mistaken on that. So they some years ago embarked on a en route automation. Now I know why they use ERAM as the acronym. En route automation modernization, the next-gen air traffic system. The final computer got put in this week at the New York Center. And so this is going to make a big difference. In fact, I don't know if this is good or not. The FAA says now we can track twice as many flights at once. So that means, of course, there will be almost instantly twice as many planes in the sky at once. So instead of using traditional radar systems, now they'll use GPS, tracking in places where radar doesn't exist, like the Gulf of Mexico. It eliminates or cuts down on radio traffic because of direct digital links. What could possibly go wrong? Every 248 days, I'm just saying. Direct digital links between air traffic controllers and pilots. 2 million lines of code. 2 million lines of code. That should make everybody a little bit nervous. It's not possible, I don't think. It's not, and I think I'm not alone in believing this. I think computer scientists believe this. We're humans. To write perfect, error-free computer programs. You can't. But there have been many attempts to make it less error-prone, to eliminate errors. And there are certain things like the air traffic control system where you don't want errors. But the fact that this Dreamliner had this error kind of, to me, in my mind, I'm conflating the two because I'm saying, well, you know, I'm sure that the Boeing folks had the same thought. No mistakes are allowed. And, you know, inevitably, especially it's something with 2 million lines of code. That sounds like a lot until you realize that Windows 10 how many lines of code in Windows 10? Was it? I can't remember. They said it's many, 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 many more. So that's good. The air traffic control system is actually simpler than Windows. It's simpler than Facebook. Facebook has a roughly 10 million lines of code. And they say that's close to Windows. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. That's old news. That was 2011. They had 9.2 million lines of code. Now they believe there are as many as 20 million lines of programming code. You know, programming, a line of code is something like add one and give us the result, you know. 20 million in Facebook, which makes it a little bit bigger than Windows and a lot bigger than the air traffic control system. Oh, no, somebody's telling me that there are 50 million lines of code in Windows 10. See, I don't know that this is bragging rights. Our program is so bloated, we have 50 million. How can you validate that works? That works. You can't test it. Microsoft posted on Facebook that there are 45 million lines of code in XP. I don't know. Linux, about 15 million lines of code. I don't. It sounds like they're bragging. It does. And then you saw what happened to the iPads. Was it Delta? Delta thought this would be a good idea. Let's give... what was the airline? Well, let's give every pilot, instead of, you've seen them, but the pilots, they carry these big rolly bags, the big boxy briefing bags with all the flight stuff in there. And they thought, well, let's not make them... In fact, there have been actual injuries to pilots from carrying these giant bags. So I can't remember what I don't want to say any airline in particular. Was it American Airlines? All right. The iPads crashed all at once, and the flights couldn't take off. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. American Airlines, that's what it was. It's all together in a kind of all this week. It's like nature's way of saying, you can't really fly, can you? If man were meant to fly, we'd be able to write perfect code. BB Lugnut in studio today. Hey, BB Lugnut.
Hey.
I've known Stuart for years. I think we go back. Is it Tech TV or before then? Or was it the radio show?
You and Kate.
Yeah.
I had to have you on C-band.
Kate's going to join us this afternoon.
Oh, cool.
Not in person, but yeah. If you're C-band, you're right. You're right at the beginning of that. Wright brothers didn't need no stinking computers. And then Starbucks. Yeah, this is, you know what? This is, there's a whole storyline here. Starbucks, of course, uses computers for all their point-of-sale terminals, pricing and everything. And there's many, how many thousands of Starbucks stores. So it's a centralized cloud-based system. And somewhere in Seattle, Starbucks has a database with all the information they need, all the pricing and SKUs and all this. Somebody at Starbucks dropped the table. Which means they literally erased the database. So that meant that Starbucks could no longer take payments for, I think, for like a whole day. They fixed it the next day. And so what they did, which was cool, is they just gave everything away that day. We can't charge you. The table in the database was deleted, preventing Starbucks stores from logging in and completing transactions. So they just gave away the coffee. Your Starbucks closed? That's bad. Starbucks is back in business. Internal report blames deleted database table. So the question is, why does anybody have the ability to drop that table? Runs on Micro Symphony. An apparent Starbucks internal incident report posted on Reddit said the main POS, that's point of sale table, was deleted, preventing any stores from logging in and ringing up transactions. It was global: North America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That's not as bad as falling out of the sky because you used an integer instead of a long. But, oh man. Little what is it? Little Johnny tables, little Tommy tables. Remember that? The XKCD. You've seen this. Hi, this is your son's school. We're having some computer trouble. Oh dear, did he break something? Well, in a way. Did you really name your son Robert Drop Table Students? Oh, yes, little Bobby Tables, we call him. Well, we've lost this year's student records. I hope you're happy. And I hope you've learned to sanitize your database inputs. Now, that's geeky code. Programmer joke. Yeah! Leo Laporte, the Tech A. So American Airlines saves pilots back strain by giving them each an iPad. Then the program crashes, grounding hundreds of flights. This is somebody reminded me earlier this week, Starbucks had a problem. The coffee stores all over the world. Starbucks, of course, because they're a global operation, has a global data center, and all the cash registers log into that. That's so they can keep track of sales in every Starbucks store all over the world. And somebody at Starbucks pushed a button. This button should not exist. But somebody at Starbucks pushed a button that deleted the database table for their point of sale system. It just deleted it, and they couldn't ring up transactions all over the world, anywhere they couldn't ring up transactions. Apparently most Starbucks stores. I thought this was like a corporate edict. I thought Howard called up and said, "Hey, give away the coffee. We can't charge you, so give it away. It's be good for everybody." But apparently some Starbucks stores closed. but most of them gave away the coffee until the next day when they got the table back. Thank goodness for backup. This would be a good place for a Carbonite ad. Man. No, it's okay. Heather Hammond is here, the phone ranger. Hey, Heather, how are you today?
I'm riding the planes.
Can you believe it? It just, that's 1 week. All of those stories from 1 week. Just shows that we are so dependent now on computer programs, on computers. And some human is writing those programs. So, of course, there's, although you have to wonder why the cashier at Starbucks couldn't just say that'd be $1.50 for your coffee. Right? And put it in a jar or something.
Like the good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just gave coffee away at some places,
They couldn't,
right?
yeah.
Which they should.
I don't know what to charge you. I just take it. It's free. Wouldn't.
And they can't make change without a
I don't know how to make change, so
Yeah.
just take it. That's so strange. Well, let me see. It says $4.50 on the menu, so I guess I'll charge you $1.30. What? Don't they? Well, I don't know what to do. You gave me a 20. I don't. Is your change $50? I don't know. What is? Really? They need a computer system to charge people? Is that true? Anybody here got a calculator?
Oh, my God.
Man.
Oh, my God. That reminds me of a friend. He said he was on a flight and he ordered a drink and it was like, say, $4. And he goes to hand the stewardess a 20 and she looked like her head was literally going to explode.
Wait a minute. That says 20 and you owe me 400.
That was the olden days when they still used cash.
Well, you see, San Francisco, we're in the San Francisco Bay Area. They've raised the minimum wage to like $130 an hour or something. So, I don't know. It's the highest in the country. I still think it's low, but it's $10 and something. And so McDonald's in San Francisco now has robot cashiers. You go up to the thing and you press a button and there's no human because it's too expensive. But you got to think that robot costs more than a human. And you got to repair it. And then what if the code breaks and then you have to close for a day?
And you have to pay somebody to take care of the robot, and he definitely makes
He costs more than a cashier.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been lining up calls for the day. Let's talk. This is what we do. We talk. This show is about technology, how it's changing our world for good or for ill. And although most of the people who call are not calling in to say, "Oh, I am so happy that my computer is working flawlessly," I rarely get that call. What do you got for me?
I, for one, welcome our robot overlord.
Yes.
Neil in Phoenix.
Let's say hi to Neil.
Question.
Thank you, Heather. Hello, Neil. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. Congratulations on the screensavers, by the way. Looking forward to seeing that later.
Yeah, we're very excited. The show that I think I could safely say that that's how I made my name for myself, is doing that TV show for 6 years, from 1998 to 2004. And, you know, it's just nobody's done it since. And I thought, well, maybe we should just do our own version because I'm here. So we're just going to do that later today. I'm excited. A lot of people cut their teeth, their geek teeth on the screensavers many moons ago.
Well, my question is kind of timely, I guess, given what you just were talking about. I have a Mac, which I bought at your recommendation, and I have a few other Apple products that I bought at your recommendation. Watch and iPhone 6.
You bought the watch. Did you get it?
I bought the watch. I've got your watch, a 42 millimeter Milanese loop.
Yeah. How do you like it?
Looks, it's great, actually. I'm finding more things to do with the watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty.
You discover more. It's nice to wear. It's attractive. And I'm discovering more things I can do with it, like pay at Starbucks when the computer's
You can, and you just go, you show your watch to the register, and it goes, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah,
the computer's down.
The clerk, the barista was like, she saw that the first time, and she was quite
was she excited?
Surprised.
Yeah.
She was surprised. It actually was about the watch, so it gets some looks.
It's called Apple Pay. It's pretty cool. Your credit cards are in your watch, and you just tap the screen. And although I have to say, our local grocery store has this now, and it still says, okay, is that to credit or debit? Debit. Do you want cash back? No. What's your PIN? By the time I'm done, I've entered. I mean, I might as well have given them cash.
Right.
It doesn't save me that much time. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, the question I have had to do with the Mac. I do follow your advice a great deal, and I also have a Carbonite for my MacBook Air, and I also have Super Duper on it. So here's the deal. I've got Time Machine. I also have a Time Machine router as well. Yeah, Airport Extreme.
Wow, you've got belt and suspenders, my friend.
All right. All you now is the new Apple TV to complete the list.
Any day now, right?
Yeah, hopefully. But here's the deal. Now I'm unclear, but Super Duper, I'm not sure. If you said once on the air, I should say, that it works with Time Machine, but I'm unclear. Is it meant to replace Time Machine, or is it meant to...
I wouldn't replace Time Machine. I would say it would work in conjunction with Time Machine. So Super Duper predates Time Machine. Time Machine is Apple's backup strategy that's kind of cool for keeping versions of documents. So once you have to plug in a hard drive, or you can use their router with a hard drive built into it. And then the Time Machine programs, when you plug in the hard drive, says, you want to use this for a Time Machine? You say yes. As you change files and so forth, it backs them up to this Time Machine. And then if you just, you actually modify something badly or you delete it, you can go back in time to an earlier version. But that is only part of a backup. What Super Duper does, and again, this predates Time Machine, although it's not incompatible with Time Machine, is it can make a bootable backup of the whole drive. So in a way, you got the best of both worlds. So they call it the perfect complement to Time Machine. So the idea is you run Super Duper and you keep that running, and that means that you'll have an external drive. If there's enough room on the drive, you could use the same drive for both. I would use 2 different drives, but anyway, you have one drive that's bootable and you can boot to it if the other drive fails and you're good to go. And the other drive is for like replacing files if you accidentally delete them. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I forgot to start my little program that tells me where I stand. The minimum wage in San Francisco is $11.05. So if McDonald's is saying, I think it's more like I'll show you. Robot tellers.
I mean, the food's so horrible. Why not just put it
Well,
in a
it is
vending
so,
machine?
I mean, actually, I'm sorry. San Francisco is now $12.17. So it doesn't really seem like an awful lot. I remember when I worked at McDonald's, I got $3.50 an hour, and you'd get your check, and after the government took their money out, you get like $1.50 an hour.
Oh my God.
Or something, $2 an hour. It was pretty bad, but that was 1973 or something, 74. I wish I could find the picture. It was in the Chronicle, I think. McDonald's answer to the new minimum wage. $12 doesn't seem like it's too awful. I don't think we pay anybody as low as that here. But if we could get robot editors, I would. Never mind, Alex.
Go away.
Go away. Run away.
Definitely not talking about
Run away.
Hey, somebody, I didn't hear your comment in the open, but was real keen to tell you that they do track airplanes over the Gulf.
Yeah.
He thought you said opposite.
Well, they don't have there are areas in Alaska and some of the Gulf of Mexico where they don't have radar.
Oh.
But obviously they have some way of knowing where the plane is.
I would think so.
But you can't. I mean, the same thing with the middle of the Pacific. The plane has to say where it is. You can't see the plane. Bump, de bump. Bump, de bump. Ladies and gentlemen, that magic music tells us it must be time for Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru. Scott is the editor-in-chief at the AVS Forum, avsforum.com. He also hosts the fabulous Home Theater Geeks show every Thursday. Are you Thursday? I can't remember.
Thursdays, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific.
On twit.tv. You can also watch after the fact, of course, twit.tv/HTG for Home Theater Geeks. Hi, Scotty.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going great. You know, we have a guy on the phone who wants to talk to you.
Hey.
Should I talk him?
Push the magic button.
Push the magic button. Who is that? Is it line 5? All right. I don't have any way of communicating
Mr.
with Heather.
Line 5.
Dennis, is that? Nope, that's the wrong one. Wait a minute. Oh, man, I don't even know how to do this. The system is so complicated.
Man, that technology.
I put him on air. Put him on hold. I don't know what's going to happen next.
I think hitting that button harder might help.
I do that, don't you? In the elevator, like you tap the elevator button.
Push it really hard.
When you're crossing the street.
Yeah, right.
They've in Petaluma, they've got it when you press the button that says wait. So it's kind of annoying, except unless you're a 12-year-old and then you press it a lot. Wait.
I've thought about doing this experiment of going to a street corner, pressing it once and see how long it takes, and then pressing it continuously and see how long it takes, if there's any difference at all.
Hi, John. John is in Troy, New York. Welcome, John.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. I got Scott Wilkinson with me. I hear you have a home theater question.
Yes, I do. First of all, I'm on a cell phone, so I'm wondering how well you can hear me.
You know what? This quality's great, but there is some delay. Good. Yeah, there's some delay, like a few seconds after I stop talking.
Yeah. I'm sorry about the delay.
I can live with it.
So I'll make my question quick, and then just let you guys talk.
Okay.
I have an old Samsung TV, plasma TV, one of the few left. A PN50C 550. And a couple months ago, I started getting some black horizontal lines across the screen. So I waited till I had some money saved up, and I talked to my local service guy that I found online, and he says, replace the panel. But I've been reading online with people who have the same problem, and they all seem to say that they replaced the Y-axis or Y-sustain board, and it fixed the problem. So I'm wondering what your take is.
Well, first, I'd say there's probably no user serviceable parts inside your Samsung.
No.
And anybody who knows what they're doing is going to know what they're doing, so you won't have to say things like, well, I think it's the Y serviceable board on the on the Frammets. However, well, this is I mean, certainly with LCDs, you'd occasionally see black lines. I'll never forget I was doing Regis and Kelly. And at the time at CES, Sharp had just announced the world's largest LCD panel. It was a 105-inch TV. So big they had to fly it out in the belly of a Boeing 747. And I remember that. It came with 4 or 5 engineers from Sharp in Japan. So it arrives. I'm on the set live with Regis and Kelly. The show's gonna be on the next day, and it has a giant, massive case. Like a case built for a 105-inch TV.
Big flight case.
Yeah. They take it out of the case. All the engineers are crawling all over it. And then all of a sudden I see one of them, and he's calling Japan. And there's a long black line from top to bottom.
Oh, man.
They must have dropped it in the 747. There's a hard land. Anyway,
turbulence.
A long black line. And so they said, well, can you stand in front of it when you show the TV? And mostly we just had to say,
high-tech solution.
Yeah, tell Regis not to mention the line, okay? But that can happen, right? What is that when you get a line on your television set?
You know, to tell you the truth, I don't actually know what the root cause of that might be. You're talking about a vertical line there, and I think the caller's talking about horizontal.
And he's talking about plasma, not LCD,
And he's talking about plasma, not LCD, exactly. You know, it is probably some sort of driver circuitry that is not working in those particular spots. You know, this brings up the big question of whether or not, if you have a plasma TV in particular, which are no longer being made, should you get it fixed or should you replace it with an LCD? And, you know, I believe the rule is that companies have to keep parts around for 7 years after a given model to address issues like that. I went to visit Pioneer a couple of years ago, and they had rows and rows and rows of Kuro plasma TVs in the box in order to be able to either cannibalize them for repair parts or ship out new ones to, you know, customers whose TVs just couldn't be repaired. And they said, yeah, we have to keep these around for 7 years. And then after that, no. Now, the plasma that he has is a Samsung C, which means, let's see, we're now on J. They change that letter every year. So
you're getting close to 7 years then. C, D,
then you're getting,
E, F, G, H, I, J. It's 7 years exactly.
Well, they didn't use I.
Oh.
And they didn't use G.
Oh. Wow.
I have no idea why that is, but they didn't. So I think we're at about 5 years now. So he could still get it repaired, presumably. Now, it's out of warranty, so it would cost, and it might cost as much as a new LCD TV. It's hard to say. You know, on the other hand, plasma, in my opinion, still is a superior display technology, even though it's gone now. It's a superior display
it's worth
technology.
trying to get it fixed.
I think so, unless it's prohibitively expensive.
No, I don't. I understand how LCD works and plasma works, and I understand how displays work in general. And so one thing that strikes me is that not CRT displays, because with a CRT, you're actually painting on the screen with an electron gun that goes back and forth.
One line at a time, yeah.
But with most kind of digital flat panel displays, direct view displays, in effect, you've got a grid, an X and a Y grid. He mentioned that X. You have an X and a Y grid, and you can almost think of it as wires on each, and when they're lit up, that tells the pixel that is the intersection of the wire going horizontally and the wire going vertically to do something. And so if you think of it that way and you're starting to get a line, that would imply, if it's a horizontal line, that connector, that X connector for that whole line is either disconnected or has failed. Similarly,
or the driver for that line.
Something, yeah. I mean,
something in
this
that
is
line
kind of
has
broad
failed.
strokes, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a thread on the CNET forum for a Samsung 50 plasma TV, exactly the same problem, horizontal lines. And I don't necessarily recommend this, but one of the guys said, you know, I opened it up and I made sure the connections were all good. And it worked.
He's out of warranty anyway, so, you know, it wouldn't necessarily make things worse. Well, it could make things worse, actually.
Yeah.
But that's not a watchable display, so I don't know. If it were me, I mean, I've got some soldering skills and some electronic skills, but I wouldn't open up a TV.
It seems dangerous. You know, I think we go back to the CRT days where you actually could. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because a tube is a big capacitor. It means it holds a charge. And even if the TV is unplugged, you can touch the wrong part of the tube.
You could really hurt yourself bad.
Blow yourself across the room. So I don't know if there's stuff like that inside a plasma. I would bet there is.
Not as much. I mean, there is a power supply.
Yeah, and that's probably got capacitors.
Yeah, exactly right. So you know,
I'm
it's not.
I'll put this. This link comes from the chat room. Thank you, chat room.
Yeah.
And I will put a link to it in our show notes at techguylabs.com. You can read the whole thing.
Well, there might be a thread on AVS for that model, too.
Yeah.
AVSforum.com.
Great source for that.
Worth checking that out.
I'm not going to post the YouTube video of the guy hitting his plasma TV with a baseball bat.
Oh, good.
And
Thank
fixing
you.
it. I'm not going to
man,
recommend
really?
that. Scott Wilkinson, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. That's pretty funny. Don't let the plasma out. If the antimatter makes contact, it will be the end of eternity, says Rusty Bones. Wow.
Man, I can't believe how many times I've heard the meme. Oh well, plasma. You shouldn't get a plasma because the gas will leak out, and you have to reinstall it. You have to put in more gas. It's absolutely not true.
Wow.
But it's very funny.
So this is a very long thread on this. I think it's the same TV as this guy has.
It's the PN50C 550.
Well, I mean, it's a variety of PN50s.
Well, yeah, but the real question is that certainly the PN50 means plasma TV, 50-inch screen size.
Here's a B. There's a couple of Bs.
That's a model year younger,
before that,
or older rather.
Yeah. So anyway, this is an interesting thread. We'll put this in the show notes. It's a long one.
Yeah, cool.
With lots of thought put into it. So, well, Scott, I'll give you the con for a few
Thank you
moments.
so much, sir. I will try not to crash the system. So, hey, everybody in the chat room. So nice to see you. UJ, thank you very much for that suggestion of looking at AVS Forum. I'll have to do that when I'm not in the middle of talking to the chat room to see if there's a C550 thread. I'll bet you there is. There are well over, I think it's, I can't remember now. We're closing in on 25 million posts on AVS, I think. Some number of millions of threads, and so it's really quite a good resource, and there might very well be. Hey, Jay Spin, good to see you. The thing I actually wanted to talk about today, but we get, calls always take precedence. But I hope maybe I'll talk about this next week during the segment, but I want to recommend to everybody that if you live in, I will tell you the cities where if you live, you have a really incredible opportunity to see a movie, have a cinematic experience like no other. That will be in Los Angeles at the El Capitan in Hollywood or the AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, the AMC Berrywoods 24 in Kansas City, Missouri, the AMC Deerbrook 24 in Houston, Texas, and the AMC North Point 12 in Atlanta, Georgia. If you live in any of those areas or near enough to go see the movie Tomorrowland, I highly, highly recommend it. I don't know about the movie. The trailers look pretty interesting to me. But what's really, really cool about those 5 locations is that this is the first movie to be created in what's called Dolby Vision, which is high dynamic range. So the content has high dynamic range. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I did on the show, where the difference between the blackest black and the whitest white is expanded greatly in what's called high dynamic range. And if the content is created or graded for that, and it's displayed with a projector that has high dynamic range, the image quality is amazing, orders of magnitude better than anything you've seen to date. So if you live in any of those 5 places, well, 4 places, Los Angeles, there are 2, in Kansas City, Missouri, Houston, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, May 22nd is the opening of Tomorrowland, and it's the first movie to be graded in high dynamic range and shown in high dynamic range.
Oh, I did want to see it anyway, so that sounds good.
Yes. Unfortunately, there isn't one in San Francisco.
So hang out for the top of the hour?
You bet.
All right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We were talking with Scott off the air. He's all excited because the new movie Tomorrowland is coming out, the new Disney movie. I don't know if it's going to be a good movie, but see, Scott doesn't care Neither Scott nor I care in this regard. It will be a high dynamic range movie. So that's of interest. You know, Scott can go to a movie and just sit and look at the screen and listen to the sound. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's a good movie. It's a Disney movie. It sounds intriguing. Should come out soon, I think. Yeah, he was talking about that. Oh no, not that soon. May 22nd. But that'll be interesting. Watch that closely. Back to the phones we go. Troy is on the line from Morton, Washington. Hi, Troy.
Hey, good morning, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
All right. Hey, belated congratulations on your 10-year anniversary last week. And I'm just wondering, when you started, did you think you'd be sitting in $1 million studio?
No. He's talking about the podcast network, TWIT, This Week in Tech. We launched in April 2005. And I was just in a little attic room doing the radio show and then a few other podcasts. But we've grown. Yeah, we have like 25 shows, a fancy studio, which I paid for out of my own pocket. Yeah, it's a mixed blessing. But because of it, we're able to kind of do, right after the radio show, we're going to do our first TV show. We've done a lot of audio and video podcasts, but I consider this, the new Screensavers, the show we're about to do this afternoon, the first actual television show. And Lisa keeps saying, it's an internet television show. I said, I don't care. It's still a television show. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, you know, you never know if the longest journey begins with a single step, doesn't it? You don't know where you're going to end up.
Well, I hope you're around in 10 years. But at any rate,
me too. I agree with you.
My question is, I have an iMac. It's an older generation iMac, so one generation ago. And I'm running Windows 7 on it, and it's with Boot Camp, so I can go back and forth. But I've been trying out the Windows 10, you know.
The beta, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, two questions, I guess. Can I simply run Windows on my iMac? Can I get rid of the OS operating system?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I guess you can. I mean, that's what Boot Camp does. Boot Camp creates a partition on the hard drive that is a pure Windows partition, just like Windows. And like any Windows PC, and you put Windows in there. The biggest difference, I mean, Apple now runs on Intel processors, so and almost all its hardware is pretty much the same as PC hardware. The only issue is that Apple makes it, so you need drivers from Apple, and that's what Boot Camp does. It'll make the partition and download drivers specific to the iMac hardware, the one that you have. Drivers for the display, drivers for the keyboard, for the mouse, for peripherals, that kind of thing. And you need those, just as you do on any Windows machine, you need the drivers from the manufacturer of the machine, in this case, Apple. Now, the way they do that, though, is from the Mac side. So you could, in theory, delete the Mac partition and just always boot into Windows. I would keep the Mac partition, even if you don't use it. You can shrink it if you want to kind of a smaller size, but that's where you're going to update drivers and things. I would just keep it. I don't know why. Maybe it's superstitious of me. We have my old Mac Pro. I mean, the old 5-year-old Mac Pro. We use as a gaming machine. My kid uses it as a gaming machine, and it boots into Windows, so he never sees Macintosh. But every once in a while, I boot Macintosh, update the OS and so forth, just in case.
Okay.
This is an advantage Apple has, is that they make the only machines that can legitimately run both Windows and OS 10.
Right, yeah. And I definitely like the hardware on the Apple side.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're only going to run Windows, you might as well get a Windows PC.
Right. Now, how about Windows 10? Do you think I shouldn't have any problem running Windows 10 on the iMac then?
You know, I've been running it in emulation on a Mac using VMware. I don't know if it's Boot Camp compatible or not. Try it. See what happens.
Right,
Windows 10 is going to be out soon. In fact, we'll have a lot to talk about today because Microsoft had its big developer conference this week, Build, and they revealed a lot more about Windows 10, and we think it's going to be coming out in July. So we're a few months off from the actual release. The version of Windows 10 you're getting now, and yes, anybody can download it, you become part of the Windows Insider program, is what they call a technical preview. It is, in some respects, alpha software, not even beta, not even close to done, even today. So if you want to run it, you can run it as an experiment or just kind of out of curiosity, but I wouldn't use it as a full-time operating system for your work or anything. It's not quite ready for that. So wait, but you don't have to wait long, and there will be a free upgrade. So if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8, you have a free upgrade to Windows 10. I have been playing with it because that's my job, and I like it. But there are gaps. It's not finished. In some cases, you won't have the most recent browser. They're kind of doing something called A/B testing. Not everybody who downloads Windows 10 Technical Preview gets the same feature set. They're downloading, different people get different feature sets, and that's because Microsoft, this is all for testing. This is not the final version of Windows 10. And one of the tests they're doing is, well, are people using this feature? Are they using that feature? So when you download Windows 10 Technical Preview, you also agree to something they call telemetry, to sending back to the home office all sorts of information about how you use it, what keys you're pushing, what mouse you're moving, when you move the mouse, whether you use this feature or that feature. Yeah, and so that's the purpose of this. It is not really intended to be, oh, look, you've got Windows 10. It's not out yet. It's testing. And it is not, and Microsoft's very clear, not guaranteed to work. Not fit for use. Our show today brought to you, thanks for the call, I appreciate it. If you want to run Windows 10 on a Mac, I think right now the best way to do it is in a virtual machine with Parallels or VMware. It runs just fine. That's how I've been doing it, and you can see it and test it, but you're not committed to it in the same way as you would be if you put it on a boot camp partition. John's in West LA, our next call. Hi, John.
Hi, Cleo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wanted to ask you a question about video editing. We bought a little GoPro Hero 4 Silver, and we have a motorhome. We put it on the dash, and we take...
Oh, it's so fun. Those are the little action cameras. They're tiny. They have great images. You got the latest, greatest one.
And we were wondering about editing it down. You in a 2-hour period, you wind up with an hour and 40 minutes worth of monotonous junk, and you like to snip it into little pieces.
Yeah. Are you on a Windows or a Mac?
On Windows 7.
So Microsoft, just like Apple, offers a free movie editor. They call it Windows Movie Maker. Apple calls it iMovie. Windows Movie Maker is okay, but not great. I think if this is something you're going to do more than once, sounds like it might be, I would go out and spend $80 on Adobe Premiere Elements.
Okay.
Premiere is the big editing program. A lot of business. We use it for our video. A lot of TV networks use it. It's a powerful tool, but it's very, very expensive. It's a pro version, but there is a basic version that's fantastic. It'll even burn a DVD if you want, or something like that. It's Premiere Elements, just as they have Photoshop Elements. The Elements line is the kind of inexpensive consumer grade version. Adobe Premiere Elements, highly recommended.
Okay.
And I think you're going to have fun. I mean, when iMovie came out, nobody used it, and I said at the time, nobody wants to edit video. I've spent many hours in an edit booth. It's the worst thing in the world. It's hard work, but people do. So if you want to, there you go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Do they not offer it anymore? That would be a sad day. Let me check. They might now with the Creative Cloud. They may not offer it. All right, Scotty, it is yours.
There. Thank you so much. Yes, I was shopping for an inexpensive video editor myself, and a friend of mine was helping me out, and he said, "Oh, I don't." He looked around and he said, "I don't think Premiere Elements is available anymore. You have to do the subscription thing."
Oh.
For Windows, he actually pointed me towards there's a Premiere Elements equivalent out of the Sony Vegas ecosystem.
Yes, that's a very good choice. That's about $50. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I ended up getting.
Okay.
And I forget, it's not called Vegas Lite or something like that. It's called something else.
Somebody just told me in the chat room. Although they've also given us a link to Premiere Elements, so.
If Elements is still available, then your advice is good.
Yeah.
My research indicated that it wasn't, but I could be wrong. Amazon still sells Elements. That's good.
It's going to come with Windows 10.
It's going to be in the store.
Oh, it'll be in the store. It'll be a. That's cool. Elements will be part of the Windows Store on Windows 10. So that's very cool.
Yes, let's schlick Nick.
Let's schlick Nick.
Or let's click Nick, maybe. Sony Movie Studio, that's what it's called.
Yeah. So, but Adobe Premiere Elements is still here.
Still here.
Yeah, buy now. Adobe.com/product/premiere-elements.
Oh, okay. All right,
70
good.
bucks.
Then $70. There you go. It's been highly recommended, totally.
Yeah.
So I may try and go with that as well, just to check them out. Archandra is asking, are there any receivers and that have HD radio in the receiver part? You know, that's a good question. I have to say, I don't know. I'd have to do a little research on that. I suspect so. I can't imagine why not. I don't, to tell you the truth, I honestly don't look very much at the radio part of receivers usually when I'm looking at receivers. But that's just me. And your question makes me think maybe I should start looking at that a little bit more carefully. So I shall do that. Scooter X Premier Elements is $69.99, 30-day free trial. Okay, my research was incorrect. So yeah, so here we are, chat room. Good to see you all. I'm looking back here to see if there are any questions that I can help somebody with, other than HD radio and a receiver, which I couldn't help very much. Sorry about that. Yeah, we were talking about repairing. You know, what should you repair a plasma or just junk it and get an LCD because you can't get a plasma anymore? And how much would I spend on repairing a plasma versus not? And it's a good question. I myself would actually probably spend a fair amount of money. Usually my threshold is, will it cost as much to replace it with something newer? And if it will the repair will cost less than that, then I'll probably do the repair. And if it will cost more than that, I'll probably replace it. But with a plasma, because they're not available anymore. You can't buy a new one. That threshold would go up for me. I would spend more money on repairing a plasma if the picture quality was good to begin with. Now, not every single plasma is good, and I have to say that too, because you know you might get the impression from what I say generally that plasma is always going to be better than LCD. Not necessarily the case. It depends on if it was made well and designed well. And the Samsungs were usually pretty good, and the C550, I don't remember it in particular. But I imagine it was probably pretty good. Samsung generally makes really good TVs. So, you know, I would spend more money on that to repair it because then I'd have a plasma rather than an LCD, which, you know, as Leo and I have written about and we've talked about many times, they have some inherent problems that the companies try to fix or address with different Band-Aids, like a local dimming, which actually is pretty nice, but it has its own problems. You can't go off-axis, though. Even no matter what LCD you buy, some of them will look better off-axis than on, those that use what are called an IPS panel. But then you don't get as good blacks when you're sitting straight on axis and you're looking straight at the screen. The blacks aren't as good as the other type of panel, which is called a VA panel, vertical alignment panel. There, you have good blacks on axis, but as soon as you move off axis, the image just falls apart. The contrast goes to hell. The colors get all washed out. That happens with IPS panels too, but not as severely. So with LCDs, you got to make a choice. Are you going to have a lot of people sitting around all the time, in which case get an IPS panel? Are you going to just be you and maybe your partner looking straight ahead right from the center of the TV, then get a VA panel? And which companies use which? That is a big question. A big weird question. Oh, look, I've got the number in my little inset. Thank you, Leo. That's great. That is really, really good. Okay, so let's see if there are any other questions coming up here down here. Hey, the Sue the Writer, so nice to see you. Dan the Man, 1994. How long do you think it'll be before ATSC is updated to support HEVC? HEVC is a high-efficiency video codec. It's the next generation of compression algorithm for video. ATSC is the Advanced Television Systems Committee, the U.S. body that defines the over-the-air broadcasting in the United States. And ATSC is working, currently we use what's called ATSC 1.0. And what they're working on now is ATSC 3.0. What happened to 2.0? I don't know. No one's talking about it. But it's gone and it's never going to get used. We're now at 3.0. And they're working that out to be able to broadcast Ultra HD primarily with the 4 times the pixel count and hopefully some of the other attributes that I am more interested in, like high dynamic range, wide color gamut, high frame rate. And they're working on all that. And they're going to use, I'm absolutely sure they're going to use HEVC compression. But I don't think we're going to see ATSC actually rolled out. I'd say another year at least, at the very least, maybe more like 2. They're still working on it. Now, M. Heiss is in the chat room. He might have something to say about this. He might have a different perspective on when we might actually see it. I think it's not going to be for a while. And ATSC 1.0 is not going to use HEVC. I'm sure of that. It's baked. It's locked. It's carved in stone. It is what it is, and that's all there is to it. Besides which, you need a new receiver box, a new tuner in order to decode the HEVC coming over the air. So any TV that has a tuner in it, any set-top box with an over-the-air tuner in it, they're not going to be able to decode it. So ATSC 1.0, never going to have it. ATSC 3.0 is, but it's going to be incompatible with ATSC 1.0, essentially. So this is a big can of worms, leading some people to predict it's never going to come out. We're never going to see it. And that is the end of that.
Thanks, Scott. See you next week.
Leo.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. 888-827-5536. We have a great website, free, open to all, no sign-up required. Just go to techguylabs.com. And that's a good place to go if you want to find out, get a link to Adobe Premiere Elements, for instance, the program I recommended on the last call, things like that. We just put it all there. And then after the fact, audio and video from the show. So if you miss a show, you can watch it there as well. techguylabs.com. Johnny Jett, I think, will be coming up in about half an hour to talk travel. You never know with Johnny because he's going all over the place. You don't know if he can, but I think he will. So that'll be interesting. Microsoft had its big developers conference. I mentioned this last hour. Build in San Francisco this week, and announced a whole heck of a lot of stuff, mostly for developers, mostly of little interest to general users. They did say Windows 10 is on its way. It's on track, on target, probably out sometime in July. Not so far. A couple of months, 3 months from now. That's interesting. They also said that while the plan is to get Windows 10 everywhere, it won't yet be available for the phone or for the Xbox. And they kind of implied it wouldn't be that much later. It might be a few weeks, a month later. So if you have a Windows phone, if you're one of the few, the proud, the strong, the Windows Phone users, you'll be getting an update to your Windows Phone in many cases to Windows Phone 10. Xbox will get updated as well. And one of the reasons this is important, one of the reasons Microsoft's going to push to get 1 billion people to upgrade to Windows 10 this year is because it's possible for developers to write one program that works on all Microsoft platforms, on Xbox, on Windows Phone, and on desktop and laptop and tablet Windows 10 computers. And they're hoping that that's going to excite developers. They're going to say, wow, and I can write my app for all of them at once. They also said they're going to make it easy for developers, and this is really trying to save Windows Phone. One of the things that Windows Phone is, it's good. It's not bad. They rethought how a smartphone should work, and You know, Nokia made some excellent handsets. Microsoft bought Nokia. And so there are some very nice Windows phones out there. But, I mean, if you think about it, why do we get a smartphone or even a computer or a laptop? It's for the programs we can run on it. You could have a great operating system, a great-looking phone, a great-looking computer, but if the programs you're looking for aren't there, you're not going to buy it. And that's kind of plagued Windows Phone. So they've also announced, besides the fact that they want people to write software for all of the platforms, which will add to the available programs for Windows Phone, that people who write programs for iOS and Android, for iPhone and iPad and Android, will be able to, they say, Microsoft says, very easily adopt their programs to work on Windows Phone. So the folks at Candy Crush, who I guess never did a Windows Phone version because, you know, it's a small number of people have Windows Phone. It's only a few million. Seems like a lot to me, but that's, you know, compared to the iPhone where you got hundreds of millions, you know. So the Candy Crush folks said, oh, yeah, it was very easy for us to take our iPhone version and move it to Windows Phone. So expect to see more programs. Cut the Rope 2, I think, has been adapted to fit Windows Phone. That could help Windows Phone. Frankly, it's a Hail Mary at this point. It's a last-ditch attempt to save Windows Phone because most people in the world have decided they're either Android or they're iPhone, and that's that. And it's kind of hard to get them to switch. And Microsoft's going to do its best, but at some point they're going to have to decide: is this something we want a business we want to stay in? Windows 10 will come out. Let's see. Oh, and then the HoloLens, which is another interesting product. Microsoft showed off a few months ago. It's made some progress. It is their standalone visor now that you put on. It has Windows 10 in it. It does not need to be hooked up to a computer. You do have to measure your interpupillary distance, though, to use it. It's kind of kooky. The distance between your pupils, you know, how wide your eyes are. It has to be carefully, the HoloLens has to be carefully adjusted to match that. And then the idea is you're still seeing the real world. Unlike Oculus Rift and these virtual reality headsets, you're not in a whole different world. You're still in your real world, but the HoloLens superimposes things on top of it. So you can do Minecraft, the game Minecraft, and it looks like you're playing on your coffee table, and the Minecraft pieces are on your coffee table, but they're not. It's just in the HoloLens. You're seeing them. You can manipulate them. You can't feel them, of course, but you can manipulate them, and it's as if they're there. Unfortunately, the HoloLens that Microsoft displayed this week at Build was very much worse than the one they showed a few months ago. The field of vision was so narrow, it was like you're looking through a cereal box. You know, at the bottom of the cereal, just this kind of narrow widescreen view. And a lot of the journalists who saw it thought, what happened? Maybe they needed to make it small. I don't know. Was it a safety concern? Are they afraid people are going to walk into walls because they can't see them because it's obscured by objects in their vision? Or maybe they can't, with a standalone battery-powered device, do a full display. I don't know. But people were very disappointed. I'm disappointed to hear it because I was very excited about the idea of what this is called augmented reality. You still got your reality. It's not gone, but it's augmented. The computer's superimposing things on top of it. Could be used, for instance, as a manual on how to do your own plumbing, you know? In fact, you could even have a live plumber on Skype showing you and say, you see that there? And drawing a little line. Turn it that way. That's kind of cool. They showed a few months ago NASA using Microsoft's HoloLens technology to take a NASA engineer and put him on Mars so that he could walk around and see Curiosity, the rover, and look around and maybe, you know, fix some things, move some things. But this new version, it's so narrow, it wouldn't be any good. You just see a little tiny slice of Mars. So unclear. This is not how I have not used it. So I'm saying this is what I've been told by reporters who did use the HoloLens this week. There was some grave disappointment. I don't know what's going to happen. That Microsoft still says on track to release this year. I'll be very interested to see. There's a battle, you see, between augmented reality, this idea of seeing the real world with things superimposed, and virtual reality, which puts you in an entirely different world. I shall watch with interest. What else did Microsoft announce? Mostly other stuff for programmers and enterprise businesses, but still a very, I think, successful conference for Microsoft. And I think a very clear vision coming from its new CEO, Satya Nadella, who says, you know, it's a new Microsoft. It used to be Windows, Windows, Windows. We were all about Windows. Now it's a much more nuanced situation. We want people to use our software everywhere, on iPads, on iPhones, on Android devices. We want to, you know, we're not going to just be tied to Windows, and we want people to use the cloud. I think it's a good move. And we'll watch with interest to see how it comes out. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you'd like to talk high tech with me, I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. Lots to talk about, but mostly I think when people call in, they just say, hey, help me. My stuff's not working. Help me. I'd like to do that too. And as I mentioned, I think we're going to go traveling. Johnny Jett, our travel guru, shows us how to get the most out of travel using digital technologies. He's on a riverboat cruise, I think, in Germany right now. So it all depends on whether the magic telecommunications stuff can work. But I think we'll talk to him in about 15 minutes. 8888 Ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by Smart Things. We love Smart Things. You know about Smart Things, I hope. It started as a Kickstarter product. The idea was very simple. Let's make a hub that will make home automation straightforward. Simply by connecting all of your devices in your home, your Schlage locks, your Honeywell thermostats, your drop cams, to the hub, and then the hub to your phone, you can control everything. There's the Hue lights, the Sonos speakers. I just love it. It is such a great, simple, clean solution. It'll make you wonder, what was the big deal about doing home automation? This is so easy. They make it even easier at smartthings.com/twit by offering solution kits and security kits, so that home security and solution kits that you can just look and say, this is what I want to do. Okay, no problem. Here's the kit for you. Smart Things has its own little doodads that connect to the Smart Things hub, but you can also use, because it's an open platform, things from a lot of different companies. I am a big fan. I want you to try Smart Things. It's so revolutionary. It won the CES 2015 Editor's Choice Award. Just go to smartthings.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT, and you'll get 10% off any home security or solution kit and free shipping in the U.S. smartthings.com/twit. Find where you left your keys. Turn on music when your kids come home. Unlock the door, even if you're at work. Look at all the different lock sets. The Quick Set it works with, the Schlage it works with, Evolve, the Z-Wave, all of these. It's really remarkable. Smartthings.com/twit. Don't forget to use the offer code TWIT to get 10% off and free shipping in the U.S. Smart Things. Let's shake it up. What do you say? All right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number. Going back to the phones. And it looks like it's Bob in Seattle, Washington. Hi, Bob.
Hey there.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
I'm just wondering, now that I'm a few weeks into Windows 10, and this is my first experience with tiles, light tiles, all that.
Oh, you went from 7 to 10.
Yeah.
You skipped 8.
Yeah, I think I may have taken your advice. Maybe. I'm just not sure why I even need apps at all on a laptop computer.
Yeah.
And most everything I do or want to do, there's a web version of it, and by and large, those web implementations are really satisfactory. So I'm just wondering what. Yeah, the apps on my iPad and on my smartphone, they're customized. They're customized.
So there's right there. You kind of nailed it. That's why Microsoft did Windows 8, was they were threatened by the success of the iPad. I think they might feel a little less threatened now. iPad sales have tumbled each quarter. They're merely selling 1 million a week now. So only $1 million a week. So they realized or felt that the future of computing was about to change. Computing was about to change significantly, and that tablet computing was going to be the next big thing. But Microsoft is very loath to leave older, what we call legacy users behind. They don't want to abandon you. So they made, and this is why I didn't like Windows 8, a hybrid operating system that was both a tablet operating system and a desktop operating system. And they included kind of interfaces for both, no matter how you were using it. And they made up these new kinds of apps. You call them apps. They're just like tablet and phone apps. They're full screen, touch sensitive, designed for tablets. And in fact, they further confused it because on Windows 8, they included both a tablet and a desktop version of Internet Explorer. You may have a tablet and desktop version of OneNote and other Microsoft Office programs. And that's very confusing. In fact, and I really hated this, if you launch Internet Explorer, their web browser, you may not know which version you're going to get, and the user interface is different. On the tablet version, the browser bar, the address bar is on the bottom. On the desktop version, it's on the top. They had different capabilities. It was very, very confusing. Microsoft is addressing this in Windows 10. One of the things Windows 10 does is it has what they call a tablet mode, and it tries to sense if you detach the keyboard, for instance. It says, do you want to go into tablet mode now? So they're making a little bit more of a distinction, which probably they should have done in the first place. They are promoting this app ecosystem, though. That's kind of one of the things that's happening with this cross-platform thing I talked about, where a developer writes one program, it runs everywhere, Windows 10, Windows Phone, Xbox. Those will be what we used to call Metro apps, full-screen tablet-style apps. So I don't think the confusion is going to go away. I think the idea is that you will use the app that works best for the way you work. So I know a lot of people who think of Windows as a desktop operating system. You came from Windows 7. That was a desktop operating system.
Desktop operating.
Yeah. And so they'll continue to use Windows that way, particularly if you're on a laptop or a desktop. If you're on a Microsoft Surface, on the other hand, it could be used both ways, both as a laptop, then detach the keyboard, suddenly it's just a tablet. And I think that's one of the reasons Microsoft released the Surface hardware, first time ever they've made computers, is to kind of point the way, saying convertibles. People might work different ways. You're on the train, you might want just a tablet. You're sitting in the living room on the couch, you might just want a tablet. You're at the desk, you might want a desktop or a laptop. So that's, I think, the idea. I get it. Yeah, I think it, frankly, it's risky and it's confusing, but they're pretty far down this road, so I don't think you're going to see too much retrenchment. Some of it, I mean, they brought the menu button back.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. Well, anybody like you who's gone from Windows 7 to 10, yeah, you're making a big leap, because although it's similar to the folks who went from 7 to 8, it's a big leap. And some people get used to it and say, and they'll tell me, "Oh, Leo, you're crazy. It's easy, no problem. I can tell the difference." And it's true with use, you get used to anything. So you can absolutely get used to Windows 8 and Windows 10.
Yeah, 10 it fits right in with me just fine. And because the desktop is there if I want it, and because the start menu is back, all that stuff.
I like the notifications. They kind of got rid of the Charms menu, which was a little confusing because it hid itself in Windows 8. I think they've listened to people, and they've tried to kind of they still want to bridge the two worlds. They still want tablet and desktop, but they've tried to make it easier. If you're using Windows 7, it's going to be confusing. Initially, that's for sure.
Initially. Yeah, I've had this now, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks.
In a month or two, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Transition was not a big deal.
What you learn is you learn the Windows key, Windows E, Windows R, Windows C for the Charms bar. You start learning that Windows key, and then it's not so confusing.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your
But you hit the nail on the head. You have a choice. You're exactly right. In many cases, there are both Metro apps and desktop apps, and you choose the one that makes sense to you. I fear, though, that the time will come that Microsoft's going to really promote the App Store, and that pretty soon most developers will just say, "Oh, I'm going to do a tablet app." That means all the apps will be full screen. you know, even then, Microsoft's kind of hedged their bets by making it possible to window those full screen apps, so you can still use them on a desktop. But they're still tablet versions, they're not desktop versions.
Well, I suppose I can see a day when my phone is all of the computing I will ever need.
Yeah, I think that's what's coming. Yeah,
that's maybe a wise.
I like having a keyboard. I sit down, you know, I have a 3-monitor system at home in my office. That's what I use. I like lots of screen real estate. I'm not driving that from a phone.
No.
I like having
2 screens.
Yeah,
that I'm really happy with.
So yeah,
and
I
Windows
think
10 had no trouble.
No. Microsoft will not leave you behind in that regard. I think that they're very clear that they understand, in business especially, people want a desktop computer.
Well, I appreciate you're taking the time to help me think straight about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame your confusion. It's taken me a while to figure what the heck is Microsoft up to. What's really interesting, and we get this from the Build conference and Satya Nadella's speeches and so forth, is I think they don't think the operating system is that important anymore. People aren't, just as it used to be, and we used to care what processors were in our devices. Now only geeks care. Nobody knows how much RAM, what processors, how fast. Does it do the job? Does it get the job done? And I think similarly, people are going to stop. Oops, stop. Shh. It's reading to me. I don't want to hear any. Thank you. I touched my phone. Big mistake. It woke up and said, hello. I think that in time, we won't care if we're using Mac, Windows, Linux. It's not important. You know, if you're playing Angry Birds, it doesn't matter. If you're even doing a spreadsheet nowadays, it kind of doesn't matter. It's getting to that point. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That big old jet airliner, Johnny Jet, he's flying. Actually, he's sailing. Johnny Jet is our travel guru, joins us each and every week to talk about using technology to travel better. And today, he's using a 5G phone, a German carrier, because he's in Passau on a riverboat cruise. You're on Uniworld's Beatrice. Hi, Johnny.
Hello.
Wow. You're all dressed up. Are you going to a formal dinner or something?
You know, I just came. I was fortunate to be invited to have dinner with the captain. So you got to dress up when you have dinner with the captain.
Looks nice. So the question is how does a riverboat cruise compare to a ocean cruise? Because I think people are familiar with ocean cruising.
For sure. Well, river cruising is the biggest thing right now. You know, all these big lines are just adding more and more ships. I just had dinner with the captain. He was telling me how, you know, 15 years ago there was like 15 ships. Now there's hundreds, and it's just, you know, in the summertime it could be a problem. We actually had to be docked. You know, there was three boats docked side by side, and there were other ones down the river. So it's getting crowded. You got to do it now. But it is, what I love about river cruising is that you don't get seasick.
Right.
You don't have to worry about sinking. If you sink, they say
you walk ashore.
They say go to the bar and grab a drink and go to the top, and they'll rescue you. And you know, you have cell service usually the whole way.
Yeah, that I'm excited about.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Although the Wi-Fi is terrible.
Oh well. So
but I love it.
Tell us you usually join us with an app and a website. I don't know. Do you have one? Or are you too busy partying on the Beatrice?
Of course I have it, but this is what happened to me. I went for a bike ride in the lower Washoe Valley, and I destroyed my phone. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh no, I saw it on Instagram. You cracked it.
Yeah, I not only dropped it, I hit the brakes the exact same time it was underneath my tire, so it was pinned between the tire and the ground, and I just totally ruined it. But anyway, I do have a great website for you. It's called Rome to Rio. So ROME, the number 2, and then Rio, RIO.com.
Yeah, it says discover how to get anywhere. And if you're not confused, it has a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge on it. So now I'm, where are we going?
Well, right now I'm in Passau, so I just tried it out because
Passau.
I'm in Passau, and I need to get to Munich.
Munich, all right. And so this is like a map program.
It tells you the best way to get there.
It shows you
Train,
train,
car,
buses, ride share. Wow.
And then, for the train, you can just click to the train, and it took me right to the German train site. 25 euros tomorrow.
Nice.
2-hour ride. A taxi, by the way, I just asked the taxi driver how much a ride is to Munich, and they're like 300 euros. I was like, that's not going to happen.
That's too much, yeah. But there's ride sharing. For $9, you could ride share. This is cool. Rome, the number 2, Rio. And is it global? Does it cover everywhere?
Everywhere.
Nice.
And car, ferry, foot, train. I mean, it is a cool website. It's been around for a little bit, but I just started using it.
This is one of the reasons we say it's so useful if you can, figure out a way to get international data as you travel nowadays. Having that means you can do things like this, and it really empowers you as a traveler. You could just say, well, let me see, how would we get here? What are our choices? Yep. That's great.
You definitely want to make sure that your phone carrier, or get a SIM card from whatever country you're going to.
Right.
Make sure you get some good speed, because I have T-Mobile, and the basic free speed they give you is not really good enough.
It's very
slow. You can upload photos, but you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to have a Skype conversation like I am now.
Right.
And I did get that MiFi, and it just doesn't work great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So find a local on the boat and take his phone.
Exactly. She's like, it's free. It's okay.
The quality is phenomenal. Johnny, this is, really good quality. The sound is great. It's kind of amazing. So, all right.
The problem is the phone is German.
Yeah, well, they can't have everything. What's your app this week?
So I got an app. It's called Map My Walk. Have you heard of this one?
No.
mapmywalk.com.
You're doing a lot of walking, I'm sure, on this trip.
Well, I'm not doing enough because the food is so good and they give you so much, and I have no willpower. They have dessert, lunch, and dinner.
Get out there and walk. They on these river cruises, they often have bicycles on the boat, right? You can get off and
and actually, 2 days ago, I rode my bike 20 miles, 30 kilometers.
See?
And I didn't even want to go. The weather was terrible out, but I went because I needed it because I ate so much food.
Map My Walk. I think there's also a Map My Ride for bicyclists.
So this is available on Android and iOS and Windows, actually.
You can not only map your walk, you can also track your food, log your food, track your activity, and even get a map of your route. This looks really cool.
And you don't want to track my food this week or when you get on the ship.
Go on a diet before you go. Johnny, great to talk to you, as always.
You too.
Johnny Jet on the river, on 3 rivers.
3 rivers.
And
you have fans, by the way, on this boat. I was just sitting down with some people from California. They're like, Leo Laporte. I go, they have to go do Leo Laporte show. They're like, we love Leo Laporte.
Wow.
Is that awesome?
That's great. We'll give them my regards.
I will.
If you want to know more about travel, this guy does it on his website, johnnyjet.com. Great articles. The newsletter, even when he's traveling, has to be. He's putting out the newsletter with travel deals all the time. It's free to sign up for that. You can also follow him on Twitter at JohnnyJet and on Instagram, JohnnyJet. And that's how I keep up. That's how I knew your phone was broken. I saw that on Instagram. I'm sorry to hear that. And your dad's with you, right?
My dad's with me. I was supposed to. I'm a Waterways River cruise last week. I was supposed to go back to the U.S. for a week.
Life.
And then come back for a Viking trip next week. And I was like, I'm not going to go back and forth. So I flew my dad out, and he's just having the time of his life going to countries he's never been to.
You said in your Instagram you've been to 20 countries together.
With my dad. With my wife, I've been to 55 countries.
But that's really great. Man, that is so sweet. Well, give Mr. Jet my regards.
I will.
All right, Johnny, back to dinner.
You have a great week.
Whatever it is, brandy drinking by the fire, whatever it is you do on a river cruise after dinner. Man, I'm so jealous. Take us out down the hall. Let's see how far we can go.
All right, let's go down the hall.
Yeah, let's test this German 5G network. Johnny's wearing a beautiful tie, and we're going down the hall on this river boat. These aren't very big. I think, 85 people, 85 passengers, something like that?
Well, there's 78 cabins, so it's about 150 passengers. So they got coffee machine.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing to have down the hall. Man, how does Johnny do it?
You got the hand sanitizer?
Yeah, everywhere. You don't go on a boat without a hand sanitizer. And there you go. There's the what is it? The big grand staircase. He's going down the grand staircase on the Beatrix.
Because the people are from California.
Just say, yeah, go over to them and say hi. Looks like they're having fun, doesn't it?
They're having fun.
All right, Johnny. We'll talk to you later. JohnnyJet.com. He's our travel guru. And, man, I'm so jealous. He lives the life, doesn't he? If you want to know more, JohnnyJet.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls to come. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. We do have a website. We put Johnny's links there. We put all the information, the website he mentioned, the app. You don't have to write that down. Just go to techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. And each page of the website is a different show, and then you can drill down within the show by the hour, by the caller, in this case, by the segment, and get exactly what you want. And if you've got thoughts, if you've got comments, if you say, hey, here's another app that does the same thing or better, you can leave those there too. We appreciate that. And all of that is free. There's no sign up. We don't want your email. Just go and visit it. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls to come right after this. Look at you. Hey, how are you, Dad? Good to see you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you just want to talk high-tech. Dennis in Los Angeles. You've been very patient. Thanks for hanging on, Dennis.
Hey, Leo, you're the greatest.
Oh, you're very kind.
I'm one of those late adopters of technology, and I'm at the point that I need to upgrade my Western Electric 500.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about a telephone?
I'm talking about a telephone.
Oh, are they still around, Western Electric? Wait a minute. You have a dial on it?
Yes.
Holy moly. Don't upgrade that. Now, that thing is, it's gone full circle. That's so old it's hip.
Oh, okay.
That is great. I actually bought at some expense, several $100, a converted Western Electric 501 that with a dial and everything that had inside it cell phone guts.
Oh no,
it's so fun to use. You can go, you dial a number and it converts. You hear that? Kids don't know. We say dial the phone, but kids don't realize that actually had a dial. You put your finger in a hole and you go all the way around for 0. That's what you got. And is this your home phone, my friend?
This is my home phone. It's my home phone. But I do think I need to go cellular because I'm going to start moving around quite a bit. I'm going to be going back and forth between Vegas and Los Angeles. So I think I need to break down, but I don't want to spend a heck of a lot of money. Yeah, they're expensive. Although most of the time now, if you're willing to sign up for 2 years with a carrier, they have free phones. The cost really of a smartphone these days is the monthly data plan, which can be anywhere from $50 to $80. Yeah, I don't know if I need data either. I'm thinking just voice.
Well, then you shouldn't. You could probably go to that area. Sprint's good in Vegas, but T-Mobile probably be all right. You have to look at the coverage maps. AT&T in Vegas, Sprint's very big. But I was just there in T-Mobile, which I like, worked quite well. T-Mobile is very affordable. You can get a plan with, for just for a few, $20 a month, and a free phone probably.
Okay, and
or go to, the other thing to do is go to Walmart and look at one of their Straight Talk phones. Those are very inexpensive. If you're not buying data, data's what adds up, because they know they're going to get you. You're going to be buying data eventually. They know they're going to get you.
I know in the olden days they used to charge for both incoming and outgoing calls. Do they still do that?
Yeah, minutes is minutes.
Either direction.
Either way. When you're on the phone, they're charging you.
Oh, okay. Because right now I get tons of telemarketers calling me. So
yeah, and they're not supposed to because it's a cost to you.
Yeah.
So if you won't on the cell phone. They try to stay away from the cell phone. You won't get nearly the number of calls you get on your landline. Put yourself on the do not call registry. You should do that for your landline and your smartphone or your cell phone.
Time ago.
Yeah, and it still call. Then those people are outlaws. There's nothing you can't say to them, hey, put me on the do not call registry. They'll go, yeah, whatever. Okay, but meanwhile, I got something I'd like to sell you. Oish. You may surprise yourself. You may find that data is useful. Do you have a computer at home?
It's XP.
Yeah, but you use it?
Yeah, I use it.
What's your gut feeling about the internet?
It's functional and.
What happens with a smartphone is you find more and more uses for it. We were just talking with Johnny about the idea that he has to get from Passau to Munich. He just fires up an app on his smartphone. Boom, there he is. He can tell. I think that these, in the long run, are become more and more useful as you realize all the things you can do with it. But coming from a low-tech, lifestyle, that may not become immediately obvious.
Yeah.
I would just get the cheap phone that just does minutes right now. That's going to be an easy thing. Nobody wants it. That's the carrier goes, yeah, sure, whatever. I got 5 of them in the back. Take your pick. You got a flip phone. We got a candy bar phone. Anything you want. But keep in mind that at some point you may love the idea of having a little tiny computer that's always connected to the internet right there in your pocket.
Okay, well, I'll consider that. So you say Walmart probably is a good.
Yeah, Walmart, Straight Talk are good. A lot of companies offer are resellers. Straight Talk is a reseller of service from AT&T or Sprint or T-Mobile or Verizon, and often the resellers give you better deals, and they certainly gonna have inexpensive phones. So yeah, I would start there. I would start there. That's a good place anyway for if you want to save money. Gosh, do they? I guess they must still do voice-only phones. He's got the old hard rubber Western Electric phone. Remember those? You couldn't buy them. The phone company rented them to you. Amazing. $30 a month probably is what you're talking about for a Straight Talk phone. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. On we go to Fakir in Islamabad. Back to Pakistan. Hello, Fakir.
Yes, hi, Leo. How are you today?
I'm great. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you. I am wondering, I'm having a little bit of crisis into iPhoto. Do you use iPhoto?
Well, the Apple has replaced iPhoto on both the iPhone and the desktop now with the latest version of OS X. They want to move everybody to...
happened to me.
Yes, they moved you to Photos. So what's happening?
Yeah, iPhoto have a lot of features like slideshow and name tagging. I assign different photos to different people in my family, and I was able to when I wanted to see pictures of my
right. You click on your mom, and there's all the pictures. Good news, Photos does do that. It's just not obvious where it is in the interface. I admit, many of the things you did in iPhotos are missing from Photos. This is something Apple's done before. They did it with Final Cut, they did it with iMovie, they did it with Pages and all the other iWorks apps. They basically rewrote them from scratch and started with a limited set of features. But then what has happened in every respect is they've slowly added features to get it back to the way it was. So if there may be features that you miss right now from iPhoto, those will probably be back. And then there are features like that face recognition. That's still there, but they're a little bit hard to find. You have to kind of move around within, I'm trying to remember, I think within albums and stuff like that. So don't give up the ghost yet. Photos, in some ways, is a good replacement. It's just different.
Okay, I thought that I made a mistake when I updated to this 10.10.3.
Well, you don't have a choice.
Ever since I did not have a choice. And when I now click on iPhoto, it tells me that, this version of iPhoto installed on this Mac is not compatible.
Right. Thank you, Apple. You broke it. They did the same thing, and I complained. They did the same thing on the iPhone some time ago, and I was furious. They replaced a very nice albums app. Was it called Photos? With this new thing. I was furious. This is the world of Apple. You their way or the highway. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry, Fakir. It's terrible. I agree. Let me just show you real quickly. It still does have face recognition. Although where is beyond me. I don't know. Do I click on her face? Projects? Import photos? Golly. You're right. It's not obvious. I don't know. This is what living in the Apple world means. Sometimes they just drag you into the future, kicking and screaming. My flowers came. You've probably noticed that I have lots of flowers in the studio. I'm getting ready for Mother's Day. It's a week from tomorrow. And I'm thinking, this would be nice, huh? Look at that, from proflowers.com. We also like this. In fact, I gotta water this. This is a palm. That's a palm tree, an espaliered palm tree in a nice Chinese vase. Look at that. Visit proflowers.com. You'll see so many great choices. Last year, I sent Mom like 2 days worth of stuff. So one day she got flowers. The next day she got chocolate-covered strawberries. That was cool. Because she thought, I got my flowers. It's over. And then I got another thing. I think I got it Saturday and Monday or something like that. Sunday, May 10th, appreciating your mom is so important. It does not have to be stressful. ProFlowers makes it very easy. You choose the delivery date you want. They will guarantee it for you. Their flowers are guaranteed too, fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days after you receive them. You can go right to the website, proflowers.com. They start at $19.99 plus shipping. Roses, daisies, tulips. I love tulips. In the spring, it's so great. I think we sent Mom tulips this year. What did Lisa tell me? She sent, I don't want to say it because Mom's probably watching. Anyway, we got some lovely ProFlowers for Mom, as I do every year. For Mother's Day, there's a special offer. As a Twit fan, you can get 1 dozen rainbow roses in a free glass vase, $19.99 plus shipping. Or upgrade to 2 dozen in a free glass vase, just pay $10 more. ProFlowers.com. And for this offer, make sure you use the offer code TWIT. Click the blue microphone. See up here in the corner. Hear about us on the radio or TV. That's us. And use the offer code TWIT, T-W-I-T, and you'll get that special deal. ProFlowers.com. I've used them many, many years. Mom loves them. Here's the various offers through Twit. Ooh, 2 dozen roses with chocolates in a purple vase, $39.98. Now that's what Mom's going to get this year. ProFlowers.com. Use the offer code TWIT after you click that microphone in the upper right-hand corner. Mother's Day. Mother's Day. By the way, I think you have till Friday to get guaranteed delivery on Mother's Day. But check. Don't put it off. It's one of the main reasons I use ProFlowers is because I always put it off. And like the Friday before Mother's Day, I go, oh. Whoa, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theaters, smartphones, digital photography, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, if you're outside that area, please use your Skype, just as Fakir did from Islamabad. You can call us. It won't cost you a thing. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's move on to our next caller, and that would be Bob in Yucatan, Mexico. How about that? Hey, Bob.
Hi there, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, I'm so glad. Do you make your home in the Yucatan, or?
Well, I'm about to. And where we're going to be living is the internet service providers are not all that great where we are.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of them. And I know back in the old days, you used to be able to combine like different modem connections into one stream. You used to be able to bond them together.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do that with, say, disparate internet streams? Like one would be a USB data modem, one would be maybe a...
Not really. It's called modem bonding, and it requires smarts on both ends. So, because if you think about it, let's say you ask for a web page. What has to happen is you have to get different pieces of the web page from each connection, right? And unless they know about each other, they're not going to know that, oh, he already got that image, I'll get this image. It's a little tricky. And in most cases, you can't just, at your end, say, hey, you give me the images, you give me the text. It just doesn't work that way. So there is such a thing as modem bonding. Generally, it comes from one ISP who gives you two connections, that kind of thing. And then the ISP at the back end can hand it off.
Okay. All right. All right, Leo.
Yeah. So what are your choices? DSL and...
Well, one's a microwave, kind of a microwave.
Yeah.
And one is a Telcel, which is the provider down there for cell phones and data.
Yeah.
They have a data stick.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. You're not in the jungle, are you?
No, we're in a kind of just a fishing village. That's only about 2,000 people, something like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the price you pay for being in a really cool place.
Right.
You're leaving civilization behind, and that includes high-speed internet. I'm sorry to say.
I know.
Satellite might also be a choice for you. I know a lot of people in Mexico use satellite.
Okay.
Something to look into.
We'll check into that as well.
Yeah.
So,
good luck.
Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your new home. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there. We will enjoy it very much.
Oh, that's
Thank you
great.
very much.
Nice to talk to you, Bob. I appreciate it.
You too.
Yeah, Fakir's in our chat room, and he says he didn't use Skype calling from Islamabad. He was on a cell phone. So I tell you what, if you do that next time, Fakir, tell Heather, and I'm sure she'll jump you up in the line. I don't want you to wait an hour on a cell phone. I can imagine what that must cost. Holy cow. Sorry about that, Fakir. And I'm glad you're in the chat room, because there are people in the chat room who have some suggestions for you in terms of photos. I didn't mention, but I do want to mention that the folks at iMore, which is a great tech site focused on Macintosh, have done a series of articles on kind of making the jump from iPhoto to Photos. And since Apple's forcing you to make that jump, it's probably a good idea to read those articles. Serenity Caldwell wrote them. She wrote them in the earliest stages when Photos was still just in beta. But now that it's here, if you upgrade to 10.10.3 Yosemite, you're gonna get Photos. And on the iPhone, Photos replaces iPhotos. It's like that's it. You still can run Photos on your iPhoto on your desktop, but I imagine it's just a matter of time before that even is not an option. When Apple moves, they expect you all to dance. Walter, Huntington, West Virginia. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Walter.
How are you?
I am well.
Well, I have a question for you about Google+. On my iPad, if I delete the Google+ app, do all the photos that I uploaded to Google+ disappear from Google+?
No, of course not.
Oh, well, that's good. Because what does it mean that all your data will be deleted if you delete that app?
It says that when you delete the app?
Oh, yeah.
It would only say that if you're deleting the account as well. So you don't need an app on your iPhone to have a Google+ account to have photos stored on Google.
Oh, okay.
If you delete your Google account, then everything's gone.
I see.
So the app is independent of the account. Maybe you said, I want to delete my account as well. No. Don't do that.
No, you just press on the Google+ app.
All right, let me try it right here. That is not what should or will happen, in my opinion. Let's see. All right, I'm deleting Google+ will also delete all of its data. That means on the iPhone.
Oh, on the iPhone.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, your photos are still safe, my friend.
Well, good. I'm glad to do that.
Thank you for calling. Yeah, I do. Right now, I mean, one of the things that's so cool is storage has gotten so cheap that all these companies are now in a race to get you to use their storage. So Google+, Microsoft OneDrive, Flickr, Facebook, Dropbox, all of them offer free or cheap storage for your photos. And on almost any smartphone now, you can, if you've installed those apps, check the box and say, yeah, back up everything I take. And they're all backed up privately. Don't worry. It's not like somebody's going to see them. But so I would recommend maybe having a couple of choices. That way, if by accident Or maybe Facebook decides they don't like, the cut of your jib and they delete your account. You still have your photos somewhere else. If you have a Microsoft Office subscription, they have unlimited storage on OneDrive. That's really amazing. And the OneDrive app on your iPhone or your Android phone or your Windows phone will, if you can check a box, is upload every picture I take. Just upload it, store it. It's great. It's automatic backup. David in New York, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm very into listening to podcasts, whether it's when I'm doing work, going out, taking walks on the train, etc.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's a revolution.
Yeah. The thing is, I have noticed that, by the way, my phone is an Android phone. It's a Nexus 5, up to date in terms of the OS. And I've noticed that the podcast apps I've tended to use seem to be pretty big battery drain. Like, even when I'm out and about, I have auto sync turned off on my phone. I'm only listening to podcasts with the screen off, which you would think would be one of the least battery-intensive things on the phone. It seems to be using a lot more battery life than it should. I've tried seeing if I could just use the files that were fetched by the apps I'm using in the Google Music app, since I figured that uses less battery life since it's one of the native Google
Maybe, maybe not.
But either way, for various reasons, keeping my place, that so many podcasts.
If you don't automatically download them, does it still use battery?
Yeah, like I said, even when I'm out of the house.
And it's not, and you've said it only download on Wi-Fi, so it's not downloading and it's still using it.
Right. Yeah, only when it's playing. And when I had asked Google support about it just for the heck of it, they said that the Google Music app does use the least, it's kind of optimized battery-wise. But anyway, the thing is, I just want to know what is there that, is a good podcast app that uses relatively minimal battery life. And I'm just talking about playback because
I don't blame you. Now, yeah, and it sounds like they're not well written, right? If they're using this, they shouldn't. And what?
Using popular apps though. First I used Double Twist, and then recently Beyond Pod. And
I like Beyond Pod. I've used that. Currently, I'm using a program called Dog Catcher with 2 G's. But I'll be honest though, I haven't looked at battery use on these programs, so I don't know if one's better than the other. I hadn't even thought about that. Playback of audio, if you're not downloading, and maybe these podcast apps are checking. Remember, even though they may not download podcasts, they may go out and check the feeds to see if there are new shows. That may be using battery. Radio is the worst, right? Let me talk about this some more in a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Just poorly written app. What do I use, actually? Maybe it isn't Dog. I thought I was using Dog Catcher. I'm using Pocket Casts. That's what I'm using. Not Dog Catcher, Pocket Casts. And, I don't choose these based on battery life because I never really thought about that. I guess I would just say, so here's the answer I would give, and I'll give this on the air. The only real solution is to monitor your battery. And, of course, all Android phones have some battery monitoring capability where you could see what the usage is and what apps. This is the Samsung app on the Galaxy S6. And they have a kind of a nice little feature which I've not seen on other Android devices. Maybe it's part of Lollipop now. Abnormal battery usage. All apps have used a normal amount of battery power while the screen has been turned off. But had any been using an abnormal amount, it would say, and I could get detail on that. Nevertheless, the stock battery, apps are not great. So I download, and this is mostly for testing purposes, something called GSAM Battery Monitor. And it gives you a lot more granular detail about what's using the battery. And that might be useful for you. Not only kind of in the, you see 60%. Of course, I just took this off power, so it's fully charged. But screen will always use the most. But radios use a lot, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. But you can also look at apps. and see specifically. You know, and this will actually give you a variety of different views. View percent power used, view CPU minutes used, network data used, kernel wake locks. Wake locks are often the thing that will kill you. In this case, there's a couple of things that, unfortunately, what mostly happens is it's these system, see these three system routines that are running in the background use most of the battery power, and I don't even know, you know, you can look at the kind of more granularly what the different things are, but you don't really know what's going on. So this is only of use if some app really uses an awful lot. But I see Pocket Cast 1.7, but that's only because I launched it. Could be if somebody's saying if you're using Bluetooth headset with your podcast app, maybe, you know, the fact that it's keeping the Bluetooth on. Striker's saying some podcast apps, the ones that skip silent passages, are doing a lot of heavy audio lifting, and those might use more. That's a good point. No Bluetooth. Oh, it's David. That was you, David Bix? Oh, hi, David. I didn't know it was you. Ah, you're streaming them. You're not downloading them. You're streaming them. Oh, well, that will kill it. Do you have them stored? That's what my recommendation would be. I would think the least battery usage would be to take the podcasts you subscribe to, like, let's say the new screensavers, and just have them download while you're on Wi-Fi and then listen to them locally. You're not streaming them stored only. He's doing that. I don't know, David. I think that's a matter probably of bad coding. So I would, if I were you, just try some other ones. I really like Pocket Casts. This is the one I use. It's not free. One of the main reasons I use it, it's good for me because I use a lot of different phones, and so this will sync my setup. I haven't done it yet because I just redid this phone, but it will sync my setup across phones. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. We were talking to David, who was in the chat room as well, about his podcast app. If you can, it's great to... Of course, battery life is the scarce resource on mobile devices. We've got to invent better batteries. Everybody is working their little brain cells off to try to find better ways to get more juice in a small space. But, of course, these phones are getting thinner. They're doing more. The screens are getting higher resolution. We're putting more demands on them. It's amazing that you can actually get a phone that'll last all day. But that is, after all, isn't that the minimum requirement? I mean, what good is a phone if you have to charge it at dinner? So it is a good idea to pinpoint apps that are misbehaving, that are using more juice than they ought to. And certainly listening to podcasts shouldn't use a lot of juice. That is not a hard thing to do. If you're downloading them, yeah. The radios in your phone use a lot of juice. If they keep the screen on, that would use a lot of power, because the screen is probably the single most biggest battery hog. What I was telling David off the air is I use a third-party battery monitoring app. All the phones have battery monitoring. In fact, Apple's just really improved the battery information you can get on the iPhone. With iOS 8, you can now see what apps are using a lot of battery. We couldn't see that before on an iPhone. Android, you've always been able to see that. But on Android, I download a third-party app called the GSAM, G-S-A-M battery monitor. That gives you more granular information. And it may be, in fact, if it's your podcast app and you know it is, and GSAM confirms that's using a lot of juice, try a different one. I use Pocket Cast, as it turns out. I looked at my phone. That's my favorite on Android. And Overcast is a great one for iOS. But it is, it's completely possible that the folks who wrote these programs made a mistake, and they just use more juice than they ought to. I'm glad you listen anyway, David. I really am. And I hope you find a way to do it without draining your phone. This is a problem. I mean, the company that figures out how to get more power in that small size in their smartphones, that person's going to be very, very rich. Charlotte, San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I have a daunting task of finding laptops for each of my twin granddaughters to use in high school for September.
Oh, you're a good grandma.
Well, their parents don't use computers, so and I just use Macs, but they can't afford a Mac.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really making this harder than it is because I keep doing a ton of research and asking everybody I know, and I look at reviews, and all I know about PCs is they love to catch viruses. So I'm kind of
Here's an affordable solution that I think in most respects is plenty for a high school student.
okay.
They're not going to be happy about this because they can't play games and install all the apps that all their friends are installing. But for doing schoolwork, for research, for the stuff that really matters, a Chromebook is a great choice.
Oh, okay.
And they're not expensive. They don't get viruses. They're so inexpensive that if one should get lost or damaged, it won't be the end of the world. And there are not many good. I mean, you could get an HP Stream, which is a Windows-based laptop, about $300, under $300. But I think they're not great. I think you're going to do better with a decent Chromebook, also $300 or $400. But you're not paying the Windows tax, so you get more for your money. What's great about Chromebooks is all the software they want to use is free, is downloadable. They're almost all Chrome extensions or Chrome apps. I think for a student, a Chromebook is great. Even in high school, a Chromebook is a great solution. I have a Chromebook, and I use it all the time.
Oh, okay. So, because really, they have their iPhone and their iPad for fun stuff.
There you go. This is for writing papers, for research, doing email, checking their assignments. This is perfect.
And composing, reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll use Google Docs, the Google Doc. And the nice thing is, when you work on a Chromebook, your work is available on any other computer as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's important, yeah, because I know in middle school they use Office 365 and they have to submit all their work through that.
Yeah, so you can use the online version of Microsoft Office on a Chromebook. There's a web-based version, and that works fine. And I think in the middle school that would be acceptable. They surely don't expect you to buy Microsoft Office. Maybe they do. I would think not. I would think that you could use the very, very capable web-based version of Microsoft Office.
Okay.
And that's free.
Okay.
And you can use that on a Chromebook too.
Now, so when I look for them, can you get those like at Best Buy or?
You could. I would get it from Amazon.
Okay, Amazon.
Yeah. What you're gonna look at is the variation in price has to do with speed, RAM, amount of memory. More RAM makes a difference in a Chromebook. I'd look for a 4 gigabyte RAM model.
Okay.
Asus makes them. A lot of companies make them. Asus makes some pretty nice ones. Acer, ACER, makes a big 15-inch. If they like big screens, Acer makes a big screen one. They're all pretty similar, though.
Okay.
I worry that your granddaughters are going to go, Grandma, I can't. I don't know what they wouldn't be able to do. I guess Minecraft.
Oh, you know what? They do Minecraft when they come over to my house, and I think they have it on their iPad.
Yeah, there is Minecraft PE for the iPad.
And they're not into like bigger, better, the sound.
Good.
So
Chromebooks are a great choice. And the thing is that $300 each, they're affordable. They're very reliable. And if one gets lost, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's not good. But it's not like, oh my, that's it. I don't get another one. And because you can share, even if they only had one, each could log on to their own account on it, and it would just be their account, just their data, or they can go to school and use a computer there, any computer there, log on to their Google account. There's their stuff. This another one's at chat rooms reminded me that's very nice. The Samsung Chromebook 2 is very nice.
Okay.
The screen, quality varies and so forth. But if you look at reviews, you'll see the best ones pretty much jump out at you. And I do love the Chromebook 2. It's quite good. $300.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And they do have them at Best Buy. Okay. If you wanted to bring the girls down and say, look, this is what I'm thinking. Leo says it's safe, no viruses. It's fast, it's effective. Your stuff is stored in the cloud, so it's always available. You don't have to worry about backup or data loss. Try these. Do you like the keyboard? Do you like the screen? Can you live with this? They're going to be sensitive to the cost of these things. Sure, a Mac would be great, but this is going to do everything they need to do.
Yeah, no, they're so good. They're so good about stuff like that. They just barely got an iPhone to share.
Yeah, see, they're conscientious.
Yeah. Their mom made them like that. So one last question then. So when you said Chromebook, you mean different manufacturers make a Chromebook?
Yeah, they all run Google's Chrome OS, which is basically the Chrome browser. They're all running the same operating system, but they're a variety of manufacturers. The Samsung, as I mentioned, Chromebook 2 is 11 inches, really nice for $300. Probably the best bang for your buck. Really a nice device. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I think that's the Heather Hammond song. She's wearing a T-shirt that says, "Can I read your T-shirt?" Is it okay? T-shirt says, "Who needs a boyfriend when you got a record collection? You got the boogie woogie, hongy dongy, linga dinga, winga dinga, hinga binga dinga." Love that. 8888, ask Leo. You'll be calling the phone ranger, Heather Hammond. She'll put you on the air. We could talk high tech, you and me, like Clarence, who's in Norway, Michigan. Hi, Clarence.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Wonderful. It's an honor to be speaking with you.
Is Michigan full of towns that are named after countries?
Geez, I don't know that.
Well, there's Norway, Michigan. That's where you are. But the guy who does our website, Josh, for the longest time, I thought he was Holland, and he's in Holland, Michigan. And I'm just wondering, maybe there's going to be a Paris, Michigan next, Berlin. I don't know.
There may be.
Anyway, hello. How are you in Norway?
Good.
Good. What can I do for you?
Question for you, Leo. I've been using the Apple Pay since it came out, and it was just flawless. And it seems like more and more places that I go now are coming up with Tap and Pay not accepted. And one of them is Home Depot, which, I got to point out, they got hacked not too long ago. You'd think they would
think they'd want a secure solution, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Let me tell you what's going on. The problem with Apple Pay and other tap and pay solutions like the Google Wallet solution, which works pretty much the same way, is while it does send a payment to the merchant, you tap the terminal, the merchant gets the money, it doesn't give the merchant any information about you. Not only do they not get your credit card, which is what you want with Home Depot, right? You don't want them to know about you.
Exactly.
They don't get your home address. They don't get your phone number. They don't get your name. And they want that. That stuff has real value to them. So Walmart decided to create a coalition of vendors who are refusing to do Apple Pay. They have their own solution. And guess what? That solution does, in fact, give them all the information they want about you. That's the whole point.
Okay.
So, sad to say, you're going to see that happen. In fact, the other day, I went to CVS, and they had a tap and pay terminal, the drugstore. And I said, I'd like to, can I use my, I have the new Apple Watch. Can I use my new Apple Watch? They said, no, it doesn't do anything. I said, what do you mean? It's not hooked up.
Yeah.
And I think that's more. Now, remember, what's happening is that the federal law is changing in the United States. The United States is one of the last countries in the world to do this very insecure system where you give somebody your credit card, they swipe it, and then you sign your name, and that's all you need to do. That's highly insecure for a variety of reasons. Right. So a federal law changed by October. All your cards, and you'll be getting new credit cards from everybody in the next few months, will have to have a chip in them that will have more identifying information. We still will be able to sign, but most merchants will do chip and PIN, which is what they do in the rest of the world, where you swipe it, you enter a PIN number, and now the transaction goes through. But I think even that is, and the law is going to change so that if a store doesn't use one of these more secure solutions and there is fraud, that they're liable for the loss, not the bank. Guess who wrote this law? So the banks are tired of footing the bill for all this credit card fraud. They want Home Depot to pay. In fact, some of them are suing Target and Home Depot and other places have been their very public data losses, saying, hey, we had to issue millions of dollars in new credit cards thanks to you. We want our money back. So there's a move afoot to make this all more secure. And if it's not more secure, then the merchant will bear the burden instead of the bank. I think Apple Pay is a great solution. I think Google Wallet, which works almost exactly the same way, is a great solution. You tap it. In some cases, you'll still have to enter a PIN. That's up to the bank. But it's not only faster, more importantly, it's not that big a deal to pull a card out of your wallet and swipe it, or to use your phone, I guess. But the big deal is that they don't get any personal information about you.
Got it.
That's between you and your bank, and the merchant is left out, and they don't like that, and so they're trying this new currency, which is, if you look at currency, it's a terrible solution that requires the merchant gives you a QR code. You take a picture of the QR code with your camera, and then the phone does some stuff, and then puts out another one, which you send. It takes like longer.
It does. I've seen that.
Have you used it? It's terrible.
It's pathetic.
It's awful.
Plus, it goes right into your checking account, your debit account.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And they get your home address and everything.
Yeah.
So Walmart, Rite Aid, CVS all shut down Apple Pay because they want to use this currency. It's terrible. You have to have the app on your phone, the currency app on your phone. You use your camera to scan a QR code, which is on a terminal at the merchant. And you unlock your phone, you open the app, the QR code, and then, oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's the lengths that they're willing to go to try to get us to give them personal information. Don't do it. I know people who just say, I won't do it. I'm not going to go to Rite Aid or CVS anymore. I'm not going to Walmart. I'll go down the road to somebody who takes Apple Pay.
Exactly. And I do that. I try to do that. And I don't have a whole lot of different options, but
I think it's going to change.
Yeah.
Because consumers really want this.
Right.
And when the new law comes into effect, there's going to be a bigger burden on Home Depot and Target and these others.
Super.
Yay. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Great question. Yeah, I have the Apple Watch, which, incidentally, I don't recommend. If you're a watch, if you're into it's not that it's not bad. It's just the concept of a smartwatch is kind of nutty. If you really, it's fun. It's a toy. It's fun if you want it. I'm not saying don't get it, but you don't feel like you need to get it. And if you have an Android device, which won't work with an Apple Watch, we'll get the Android Wear. That's pretty much identical. There's not that much difference, except for this one thing, which is, and I think that new Android Wear watches will probably do the same thing. But right now on the Apple Pay, I can double tap the Friends button and get my credit card, and then just tap the watch to the terminal in the store. And I think consumers want that. And I think the stores are going to eventually just have to say, okay, we're going to do it. Or everybody's just going to start going to Walgreens. Mark in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mark.
Leo, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Got a question about your recommendation on the most user-friendly website to teach Adobe Photoshop from beginner to intermediate.
Well, there's a paid one, and a little disclaimer, they are a sponsor, lynda.com, Lynda.com, have excellent Photoshop classes, but you do have to pay. It's not very expensive. It's a monthly fee. You can certainly find this kind of stuff online. Adobe has some very good classes, and I think if you're already paying for the Adobe products, if you have a Adobe subscription, then you'll get the classes for free. There are good books out there. Many of my friends do classes in Lightroom and Photoshop that they offer on websites. We could put together a list that we shall put on our website at techguylabs.com. But just if I were just to point somebody to one place with everything you need to know, well-produced, professionally produced, I think it's $30 a month, something like that. Lynda.com would be my choice.
And I noticed there's a few options. Do you recommend going for the most robust, expensive, or not?
No. Do the cheapest one. Don't tell Linda I told you this. But, yeah, the most expensive one has course materials and other stuff. You can go with the inexpensive one, which is, I think, $30. There are also, if you're willing to kind of dig through varying quality, there are plenty of free videos on YouTube. Go look at iTunes U. If you have a Mac, iTunes U on the Macintosh as part of the iTunes store has courses, college courses, and all sorts of stuff in all areas, and I'm sure they have Adobe courses as well. I'll go out and maybe find some links for you because there are a lot of places you can learn this. And it's a lot of fun. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today was brought to you by the fine folks at Gazelle. Gazelle's a great solution for people who need to get a phone at a good price in a couple of ways. First of all, you could sell your old stuff at Gazelle, Gazelle. They give you top dollar. They'll pay shipping on anything worth more than $1, and the quote you get is good for 30 days. So if you've got cold feet, you can, or you're just not sure what you're going to get or when you're going to get it, you got 30 days to take advantage of the quote, and the quote is locked in for 30 days. That's a good deal. Gazelle. But there's other things to like about Gazelle because the best stuff they sell at Gazelle, or they buy at Gazelle, they sell in their Gazelle certified pre-owned program. So this is like two things in one. They'll buy your old phone. They'll buy your old iPhone or iPad, even if it's broken. But they take the very best phones, Samsung Galaxy and iPhones and iPads, and they offer them for sale. Certified pre-owned devices are in two different conditions. There's certified like new, that's as good as new, and absolutely a great deal. But you can also get certified good. They're going to show slight signs of wear. You know, maybe they're not going to be just little things, little nicks or whatever. But they are going to save you extra money. And in either case, all the devices have been put through a rigorous 30-point inspection. So they are not fully functional. And, of course, you have a 30-day risk-free return policy. So this is a great solution. Gazelle, to sell or to buy. It's the smart place to go to get what you're looking for. What's your iPhone worth? Take a minute and go to gazelle.com to find out. Gazelle! All my friends love Dickie D. It's GizWiz time on the Tech Guy Show. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, joining us now from Disneyland. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and the GizWiz. Hey, Dickie D.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Your Mother's Day stuff?
Yeah. I stupidly sent myself the Mother's Day flowers. Now I don't know what to do. I guess I have to go to Providence, Rhode Island, and deliver them by.
Yeah, no. Your mom is listening, right?
Mom, I got you flowers.
Yeah, there you go. Now you don't have to send them anywhere.
Mom,
this
see?
is perfect.
I got you flowers.
It's a virtual bouquet.
Don't they say it's the thought that counts? Don't they say that?
I say that all the time whenever I forget.
Yeah.
I
thought.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about it.
I thought I did it.
So, the end of the month was a couple of days ago. That means when the month comes to an end, the What the Heck Is It contest comes to an end.
Yes. And 5 people knew. So that's the new one.
Yeah.
But if you scroll on down.
This is the one for the last couple of months.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I got to play because, believe it or not, Dr. Mom sent me that picture.
Dr. Mom sent you this?
Yeah, and I didn't tell anybody that because a lot of people know.
They know Dr. Mom, and they could pressure her.
And they know, like, her favorite thing to do. So I used it.
Wait a minute, her favorite thing to do is swim in a tiny fish globe?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. What is that? It's got a mustache on it?
It's called Yonit, and it's, Dr. Mom knits a lot.
Ah, yes. I have some of her knitting.
It holds the ball of yarn that comes out that little hole in the front.
So smart.
Strangely, you can wear the ball of yarn if you want.
Is that what that is? A lanyard to put around your neck?
Yes, exactly. And the company makes several different models, and this one is called, I think she said, the masculine model or the
This has got a mustache.
So have a mustache on it.
What are you knitting? A mustache?
A mustache. Yeah. So 5 people knew what it was. But the fun thing is the other answers, pretend husband with a carrying strap, diver's helmet with windshield wipers. It's just very.
People are so creative.
They are. They are.
Well, a new month brings a new contest. This is the May-June What the Heck Is It? And I don't know what that is.
Well, that's the plan.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
So go to gizwiz.biz. That's Dick's website. You'll see a What the Heck Is It link. Click that link, and you'll see a close-up picture of some sort of gadget. If you can identify it, there's an autographed Mad magazine in it for you. Or, better yet, come up with a incorrect but cute answer. And he's got 12 Mad magazines for the right answer, 24 for the cute wrong answer.
Yeah. And then if you click on the tech guy, you'll learn about, let's see, Leo, do you know about the ThinkPad Stack?
I know ThinkPads are those Lenovo laptops.
Yeah. Okay. So the Stack, I didn't know about it either till I went to a press event. The Stack, it's kind of different. It's for road warriors, and it is 4 components that stack on each other. A Bluetooth speaker system, an access Wi-Fi point, a 10,000 milliamp battery. And what you can do is...
So none of it is a computer.
I'm sorry?
None of it is a computer.
None of it is a computer. But what it's for is if you have, one of those new thin computers that has none of the things that you need. There's also a 1 terabyte USB 3.0 hard drive.
I see. And so you'd connect this to your laptop and it would do...
Exactly. And the neat thing is they're magnetic... And when they touch each other, all you need is one connector to any one of the stack.
Oh.
And it powers and passes data to all the rest of the units in the stack. Now, it was supposed to come out the 1st of May, but I cannot find it online yet. So it's coming soon. The list price is $349 for the stack.
That's for all 4?
Yeah, for all 4, right, exactly.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, especially the 1 terabyte USB 3.0 hard drive.
Yeah.
So that is it. The Lenovo ThinkPad Stack coming soon. To
everything you need, computer not included. Right?
Right.
Dick DeBartolo is at gizwiz.biz. That's the fabulous website, the place to play the What the Heck is a contest, to see a picture of the stack, all the other things he does, the non-paid lackey fun he has on Computer America, the appearances on ABC, World News Now, all of that. Gizwiz.biz. Let's not forget, Dick has a show on the internet called The Gizwiz. And it is, you can find out more by going to the site Patreon, patreon.com/gizwiz, Gizwiz. And the idea is it's a free show, but of course it costs something to do. Dick and Chad Johnson do it, and it's a great, funny show. And if you want to help support it, you can there.
Yeah, we're picking up exactly where we left off there. We're starting with the next number. Yeah.
Thursday will be the first show.
Thursday's the first show.
That's great.
And your first show is coming up right after
We got a new show launching today, right? So there you go. The same dumb show with Dickie D and Chad Johnson. And look at that. You're starting to roll in the dough.
We're rolling in the dough. No money, but we're rolling in
And Dick, we'll talk to you next week. And actually, I guess you're going to do the Giz Fizz later tonight after the new screensavers
at midnight.
Whenever we finish.
Whenever you finish.
It could be late. I don't know. It's the first time we've done this. We don't know how it's going to work out. It's funny because in TV, the show is going to be exactly an hour. That's all you got.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, 44 minutes when you take out the commercials.
Correct.
We're podcasts. It could go on it could go to midnight. We don't know.
No.
There's no...
When people run out of things to say...
That's when we stop.
So with you, it's eternity.
It goes on and on and on. Thank you, Dick. Dick DeBartolo.
Okay, buddy.
Mathematicist writer. Last call of the day, Maria, Riverside, California. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
So I'm going to be going back to school soon, pretty soon here, and I'm looking to buy a used MacBook.
Okay.
I've been looking on Craigslist, but there's too many choices. There's MacBook Air, MacBook Pro.
It's very risky to buy a used computer because you're buying whatever problems that person had. And also, Craigslist adds an additional risk that there are, sad to say, scammers on there who will take your money without delivering a notebook. Before you decide what to spend, and you're not going to save as much money, but I would look at Apple's refurbished computer store. They have a store where they sell refurbished MacBooks at a better price. At least check that, because then you're getting the full warranty from Apple. It's not a rip-off. In most cases, these are computers that are as good as new, but were sold, opened, returned, and they can't sell them as new, and so you may not save as much, but boy, it's as good as a new one. Now, you want to know? I know why you called. Help me buy which one to buy. Yeah. I think a MacBook Air is a great choice. They're affordable, very thin and light, and more than powerful enough for a student. I think if portability is important and if battery life is important, because the MacBook Airs get amazing battery life, the 13-inch MacBook Air is absolutely your best choice. Really a good choice. But that's all the time I have. So thank you so much for calling, Maria. Good luck in school. Thank you all for listening. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.